Can't remember anything. Can't tell if this is true or dream. Deep down inside, I feel the scream. This terrible silence stops me there. Hold my breath as I wish for death. Oh, please, God, wake me. All I see, absolute horror.
It's a banger. They call it the Land Down Wonder, the Men at Work Metallica mashup. I don't have to explain that to you, but you know what? I like doing it. Why not? I'm a chatty guy. If you want to text 35192, by the way, Cavaliers, did they win?
Yes, they did.
The Cavaliers won last night. Very exciting. I don't think they're playing tonight. 114-102 over the Atlanta Hawks, who are a very good ball team, by the way.
Tomorrow against Portland.
Tomorrow against the Portland Trailblazers, Xavier McDaniel, and or was he on the Sonics?
Sonics.
Ah, okay. Trailblazers. Scottie Pippen of the Portland Trailblazers.
Come on, you can't think of Clyde Drexler?
Clyde the Slide?
Yeah.
Was that his only team?
Not the Slide.
The Glide.
Yes.
I always call him that, don't I? Every time you mention Clyde Drexler, I always call him Clyde the Slide.
No, Clyde went to Houston and won a couple championships with Hakeem Olajuwon there.
All right.
Because those years when Jordan was out, it was back-to-back Rockets championships.
It was anyone's game back then.
Yeah, and it was him and I think Kenny Smith was on that team.
There you go.
Was Robert? I think Robert Horry was on that team. So that was a good team.
Once Jordan was out of the picture.
Yeah, and Hakeem Olajuwon is still one of the most, I think, underrated players. He was so good. He was so good.
Well, the Cavaliers, they are on a streak right now. You know, fortunes can change very quickly, but they're on, I think 3 wins constitutes a streak.
It's the beginning of one.
Yep. And so they'll play Portland tomorrow night. 7 o'clock is your Thanksgiving Eve tip-off. And then they'll be in Milwaukee on Friday to get bent over by the Bucks. But listen, it's I'll have Terry I don't know that. You're absolutely correct. I'll have Terry the Goat's Week 12 picks for you later on. She did pick the Browns game this week. That doesn't always happen. By the way, because the Browns are at home, the Cox Out pregame is Sunday. I keep forgetting because I'm going to be out of town until then. But I'll be back Sunday morning. We're doing the Cox Out at the Ivy, which is right down here at West 6 and Lakeside. So we only have a few of those left. And the next one is this Sunday morning when Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to be in town to play your Cleveland Browns, who, if you haven't been paying attention, they got the best tailgate in the National Football League. The team, meh. Or in the immortal words of Poundcake, ugh. But boy, the tailgate is spot on. I wonder if they'll be cooking any lab-grown meat there. They're making a big deal about the fact that the FDA has approved lab-grown meat. So this is going to be flooding the market there. They're going to open the market for this food that is more efficient. It's more environmentally friendly. I think anything that can bridge the gap between meat, as we eat it now, which is not really sustainable, and bugs. I'm happy for anything that happens. So, you know, there's this thing where people have in their head like lab-grown meat. It understandably makes people feel a little uncomfortable. But it's still meat derived from animal cells. It's just it's made in a lab. You know, they've got, they say the next big trend in the seafood industry is fishless fish. And you have to wonder how that makes fishermen feel. Take that, Lake Erie Walleye Championship cheaters. What, are you going to put your weights inside a test tube next time? So the FDA says that a company called Upside Foods is the first one out of the gate. They're going to take living cells from chickens and then grow them in a lab. Lab-grown meat. Because granted, like the Beyond Meat and those kind of companies, they've really plateaued. They're having a real hard time getting people to, because eating is very much a mental thing. And they're having a hard time getting people's heads around that. So these companies are going to be making lab-grown meat. Constitutes nothing less than a global food revolution. You know how this is a global live stream event every day here on the Alan Cox Show? We're talking about a global food revolution. And it's not even a controversial point anymore. It's not even a point of contention to say that the way that we grow and consume meat is unsustainable. So I don't know how they're going to label this. I don't know how any of this is going to work. But the United States is the first meaningful market that has approved this. There's a lot of other countries that are kind of taking a wait-and-see approach.
I wonder, so like Brian, my boyfriend's a vegetarian. I'm wondering if this goes through and it's like, you know, there's no health effects or anything like that, if vegetarians would eat this meat.
But it's still animal cells.
It is, but the whole point of not eating the meat is that the unsustainable farming and, you know, everything that goes into it, the water, the food, everything like that.
Yeah.
So it's like these chickens aren't harmed. They aren't farmed in an unhealthy way. You know, they aren't. This meat is untainted.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's a good question. I mean, there are people, to your point, there are people who don't eat animals because of the unsustainability. There are other people who don't eat animals. Like my daughter's a vegetarian. My older daughter's a vegetarian because she just doesn't want to eat animals. And my 6-year-old has kind of, she's coming around to that notion too. She is becoming verbally increasingly uncomfortable with eating meat. And it's certainly nothing I've said. I'm a carnivore. I don't eat much meat. I can't go so far as to say I'm a vegetarian. I eat way more vegetables than meat, but I like meat.
Me too.
So I get it. He did it.
No, I was being serious.
Meat too? Is that what you meant?
I said me too.
So it'll take a while before, you know, our supermarkets are flooded with lab-grown meat. But and I'm sure there's a learning curve there too. But think about that. I couldn't help but think of Poundcake, too, when I was reading about a company that made, you know, you hear about these people caught in these terrible situations. You know, somebody who goes hiking and they don't have enough supplies with them, or they've gotten lost and they go, what the hell are we going to do? You know, they find people dead all the time. Usually because they run out of water. You know, you're going to go pretty fast if you run out of water. Run out of food, you know, you might have a little bit longer to go. But there's a company that has created an edible drone so that the wings are made of rice cakes.
What? What happens if it rains?
They can fly. Well, then it's going to fall out of the sky. Yeah, I don't know. I think this is more for like desert rescues where there might not be as much rainfall. But it's a drone that's got these big, wide wings that are edible. And so they fly it out. There's a company that's got a project called Robo Food, and they're trying to make edible robots. And it really is a brave new world, is it? I mean, when people say, you know, you have people who are very, very concerned about the state of the planet. You have other people who are less concerned because they figure that some brainiac is going to swoop in and solve everything. And little by little, that might happen. Who knows? But in the meantime, we're going to have robot food, lab-grown meat. Very exciting. So the edible drones can fly out and find you. And, you know, I don't know if at some point you'll just be able to order them. You could have a drone fly to your house, land on your step, and you just sit there and then eat it. Mary eats rice cakes all the time.
Why'd you say it like that?
Because you eat rice cakes all the time.
Rice cakes?
Well, no,
the
wings are made of rice cakes.
I know.
That's
but
my point.
You said it with like an attitude.
He did say it with
Like
an attitude.
rice
No, I didn't.
It's
No.
the tone.
Mary
Yes,
eats in
it's
the
the
tone. Mary
I love
eats
rice
rice
cakes.
cakes all the time.
There you
And
go.
these are made of rice cakes. Therefore, the
What
analogy, what?
What flavor rice cakes?
All they say is it's about 300 calories. So really, you know, won't fill you up either. Made from rice cakes and gelatin.
You're trying to survive, not become a fatso.
That's right. How am I going to get out of Death Valley if I'm hauling my fat ass around? Tastes like a crunchy Rice Crisp cookie with a touch of raw gelatin. Like anybody can process what that means. You know how raw gelatin tastes? No, I do not at all. I don't know what you mean. That's what it tastes like. So they bound together a bunch of rice cakes, put a laser cutter on them, and then they put them on a drone. So you can fly this out. Now, how long are you, let's say you're the recipient of the rice cake rescue drone. How long are you going to last on that?
You just take a nibble every couple minutes.
I mean, this
or
isn't the
hours.
first of its kind, but they seem to be getting a lot of attention for this. I remember reading about somebody that made a thing with chocolate on it. Like a drone carrying chocolate.
They made a thing
with
with chocolate on it.
chocolate on it. Yeah, obviously. Are you
made
saying
a
I can
drone.
see how that ties into
Sorry.
the rice cake drone.
They made a drone with chocolate on it, so you wouldn't go hungry. It's a brave new world. Guy got shot in the balls. Boy, this guy gets a lot of attention.
How do they even know who it was?
There is, he ran off. And they can't find him. Polk County, Florida is in the middle. It's Central Florida. But there's always something going down there because this sheriff who's been there for like 15 years, this guy Grady Judd, is always in the news. You always see him doing these weird press conferences. And, even if you don't recognize him by his face, you might recognize the name. Grady Judd is always in the news for something going down in Polk County, Florida, which is kind of in the middle of nowhere. If you know where Lakeland, Florida is, that's kind of the biggest town there. That's where the Grapefruit League does spring training, I think. They had a guy who showed up with a bunch of guns and a Molotov cocktail, and he shot him in the balls. They weren't taking any chances.
Look what he had in his hand, an AR-15. In addition to that, he had a handgun. 3 of our deputies began to shoot. We hit Luke 3 times, twice in the right leg, once in the left leg, and once in the groin. And we've changed the looks.
Wait, that's 4 times.
He's a cop, man. He's not
He
a...
can't even count. They can't even count how many times they shoot somebody? This isn't 40 times.
We hit Luke 3 times, twice in the right leg, once in the left leg, and once in the groin. And we've changed the looks of his groin forever.
Well, maybe what he means
Ugh,
is
change the looks of his groin forever.
he
What
hit
a
him.
weird...
He hit him 3 times, and the 4th shot took his balls clean off.
We got him 3 times, and who
Look what-
knows?
3
what-
times.
Yeah.
Twice in the right leg,
Yeah.
once in the left leg, and once in the groin. And we've changed the looks of his groin forever.
Well,
He
If you
says
know
that
what
with
I
so
mean.
much pride.
Yeah, I know. We changed. Before, you might have known this guy, and you walk right up to him and go, I recognize those balls anywhere, but guess what? Mess with the bull, you get the horns. I'm rearranging Poundcake's balls as we speak. That's right. All the way through the walls. Yep, I got a clean shot. Jeremiah's off all week. Rover's out. Clean shot. Straight down to Studio G, homie. So I don't know how that Grady Judd has so many ne'er-do-wells out there in Polk County, but this guy's always talking about something. Man, I can't wait for this new show, Chrisley Knows Prison.
Oh man, I'm mad. I'm mad about this. I used to love that show.
You know who flipped on him was his gay lover.
Who?
What a
is
traitor.
that? Who is that guy? Because I was looking for stories.
He's a real estate tycoon, and don't you dare do it 'cause I'm doing-
Tycoon. He's a tax evader. That's how these guys make all their money.
He's a tax evader tycoon.
People were out to get him because they had a very successful show.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
why.
the IRS.
People
Yeah.
start digging
That's
into their
who's
finances.
That's who's out to get him.
This is in Nashville, Tennessee. Well, their son had a really bad crash. Their son's 16, and I guess he got into a really bad car crash a couple days before they got sentenced. Grayson Chrisley. But if you've ever seen this show, Chrisley Knows Best. It's a very clearly gay man who's married to this woman, and they have, I guess, a real estate business. I don't know what they do, but they're pretty camera ready, and so this show was on for a long time.
They were out of Atlanta originally, and then they moved.
But it became very, very clear that these people were doing something hinky to afford the lifestyle they were doing, and that's precisely what happened. And he and his wife got sentenced to a combined 19 years in prison. He got 12 years, and his wife got 7 years. Boy, we've gone from white-collar crime barely being prosecuted at all to Elizabeth Holmes getting over a decade, and now the Chrisleys getting federal prison for tax evasion.
But that's what I don't understand. Like how whoever like produces these shows, do they not dig into their background beforehand?
No.
No, why would they?
You know how many
They don't wanna
channels
find
they got to
something.
fill up with 24-hour entertainment?
Also, if
their
they live in
accountant.
Nashville,
Well, I'm saying if you're saying, Alan, if you knew that it was clearly something hinky going on there, like if they looked like they were doing something that they weren't supposed to do, why wouldn't other people catch on to that?
Because these are TV producers. They're not lawyers.
Okay.
They're like, hey, we want to follow you guys around with a camera. And they go, okay. And then something like this happens. Guess what? The show's immediately canceled, which is what happened. That's what happened with 19 Kids and Counting. They weren't doing deep. They weren't checking into the backgrounds of those people. And then the kid ends up being a pederast. And they're like, okay, show's over. On to the next abomination.
Well, then they created a spinoff of that show. It's like 19, but forget about some.
Yeah, but they're
It's 19.
We're only going to mention 18. Yeah, but they're all canceled now.
Yeah, the Chrisleys, they had a show because I have a crush on their one son, their older son. They all got like fake veneers. They all got those like horse teeth, like that look like they compete in like pageants.
Yeah, they look like the entire family looks like every pumpkin spice latte Instagram girl. It's a whole family of those people.
But I like the Chase. I think his name is Chase. He's like the older one, and they had a spinoff. So I was like watching theirs, and I'm sad. I don't want him to be upset.
Well, their accountant got 3 years in prison, but the Chrisleys got 19 years between the two of them.
I brought my really nice camera down here to record my set, so maybe I'll look up their address and go to their house like a TMZ reporter and have my camera ready.
Have your press pass.
Yes, I'll just like make it with a Post-it note, and I'll go laminate it at FedEx and be like, "Hey, Sir Chrisley, I heard you have a hot son," and he's like, "Oh, you don't want to talk about the tax evasion?" I'm like, "No. I'm here on behalf of my friend Poundcake. I don't know if you've ever heard of him."
Yeah, he doesn't want your son to be sad.
What happened to your son? Yeah.
Yeah, they lived in Atlanta before they moved to Nashville 6 years ago.
Do you think that was for something to evade taxes, or?
I mean, the IRS is a federal organization, so I don't think moving to another state is going to. IRS can't get me in Nashville. Ha ha! Take that.
There's no love. There's no loyalty. The guy is not a ride or die. Clearly, he had a bad judgment about judgment of character because this dude turned him in and his wife.
Yeah, it was two gay dudes who were cheating on their respective wives with each other.
Well, maybe his wife had.
Oh wait,
like
is that real? I thought
Yes.
you were joking.
No.
I thought you were joking when you said it was his gay lover.
No, he flipped on him.
I didn't know that.
He hit the FBI up and he goes, "Look into this." The Chrisleys swindled $36 million from Atlanta community banks by does this sound familiar? Inflating your net worth to get loans. And so they later filed for bankruptcy, which allowed them to erase 20. So it was all a shell game the whole time.
Wow.
The millions of dollars in taxes that they evaded, they were hiding millions of dollars in other accounts. And
whatever. He's going to a white collar prison. Ain't nothing about to happen to him. He'll be fine, and he's not going to serve the whole 12 years anyways.
Well, look at that guy. No, you're right. He's not going to, but he better hope they put him in Club Fed. They put him in Lompoc or Rahway or something.
Is he going to
go?
Is he going to go to AdSeg?
Who called him ice cream? He's going to be ice cream for psychos. What movie is that from? What'd you say?
Is he going to AdSeg?
He might be in Gen Pop. So I don't know. I got to take a break. If you want to send a text, 35192, AlanCoxShow.com is where you can watch live. And you can listen on the iHeartRadio app, wherever you are.
The Alan Cox Show on 100.7
WMMS. Buzzard Radio.
The Buzzard.
Is Rover.
This is going to make me vomit.